I've been through more losing streaks than I'd ever admit to at a dinner table, kid. Long ones, brutal ones. The kind that make you question not just your strategy, but your worth as a human being. Losing streaks have a way of shrinking the world around you, making every candle feel hostile, every chart feel personal, every decision feel like a trap. They don't just hit your account, they hit your spirit. And if you're not careful, they don't just drain your capital, they drain your identity. I remember one of my worst losing streaks back in the early 2000s, long before social media and trading communities filled the air with noise. I was alone in a small apartment, charts glowing late into the night, the air thick with frustration and stale coffee. It started with one bad trade, then another, then a third. And soon enough, I felt like I wasn't just losing trades, I was losing pieces of myself. Every morning felt heavier than the last. Every setup looked suspicious. Every entry felt like stepping onto thin ice. But the real danger of a losing streak isn't the money you lose. It's the story you start telling yourself, the whispers that say you're slipping, you're failing, you're no longer capable. And once those whispers get inside your head, they echo, they grow, they take root. The first thing I had to learn painfully, slowly, was that a losing streak isn't a verdict, it's a signal. A message from the market that something inside you or your process is misaligned. And if you don't pause to listen, the market will keep shouting until your account is nothing but a memory. The worst part is how subtle it begins. One loss, you shrug off. Another, you rationalize. A third, you blame on news. A fourth, you chalk up to bad luck. But the fifth, the sixth, that's when the cracks start to show. Your discipline wavers. Your confidence trembles. Your patience collapses. That's when the losing streak becomes dangerous, not when it hurts your profit and loss, but when it starts rewriting your behavior. I still remember the night I finally admitted to myself that I was the problem, not the market, not the strategy, not the conditions. Me, my fear, my impatience, my refusal to step back. It was late. The room was dark except for the screens. I stared at a chart that didn't care about my suffering, and for the first time in days, my mind went quiet. And in that silence, I heard the truth. Stop trading. It wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. But stopping is harder than losing. Losing hurts your account. Stopping hurts your pride. Yet, stopping was the first step toward resilience. I shut everything down for a full week. No charts, no news, no scanning, just breathing, walking, clearing the debris inside my mind. And when I finally returned to the screen, something shifted. The charts didn't feel like enemies anymore. They felt neutral again, like they had before the streak poisoned my perception. That's the first strategy of resilience, kid. Step back before you break. The second came a year later during another rough patch, this time during the aftermath of the 2008 crash. I wasn't careless. I wasn't impulsive. The market was simply wild, emotional, unpredictable. Even good trades were turning into losses. But this time, instead of spiraling, I did something different. I reduced my size drastically. I traded so small a loss couldn't touch me emotionally. And slowly, gently, like feeling your way through a dark hallway, I rebuilt my confidence, one tiny decision at a time. That's the second strategy. Shrink the game until you can breathe again. Most traders do the opposite. They size up, chase, push harder. That's how accounts die. But small size is a lifeline. It's a reminder that you're not here to prove anything. You're here to survive long enough to grow. The third strategy came later in life, journaling, not my trades, but my mindset. On the worst days, I wrote down exactly what I felt: fear, doubt, anger, shame. And you know what I learned? Losing streaks don't break you because you lose money. They break you because you stop telling yourself the truth that you're tired, the truth that you're forcing trades, the truth that you're scared. Resilience isn't bravery. Resilience is honesty. And then came the final strategy, the one that took me decades to learn. Return to your foundation. Losing streaks pull you into chaos. Your job is to climb back into structure, back to the basic setups, back to the clean charts, back to the simple rules that worked long before the streak began. Every time I returned to my foundation, something miraculous happened. The market didn't change, but I did. My breathing slowed, my vision sharpened, my judgment returned, and slowly, one good trade emerged. Then another. Not wins good trades. There's a difference. Winning trades inflate your ego. Good trades rebuild your confidence. Good trades heal you. Good trades remind you that the streak is temporary, but your discipline is permanent if you choose to make it so. Losing streaks will visit you many times in this career. They visit everyone. They don't care how experienced you are, how smart you are, how many books you've read. But resilience isn't something you pull out when things go bad. It's something you build brick by brick, long before the storm hits. And if you build it well, if you build it honestly, if you build it with humility, then when the losing streak comes, and it will, you won't crumble. You'll bend, but not break. You'll shake, but not fall. And you'll walk through the darkness with the quiet confidence of someone who has seen the storm before and knows exactly how to find the light again. Because the truth every trader eventually learns is that a losing streak isn't the end of your story. It's the moment you begin to. And you begin to understand that a losing streak isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're being forged. Those stretches of darkness, those days when every trade feels like stepping into a trap, those mornings when you question whether you still belong in front of the screen, that's where a trader is tempered into something stronger, something steadier, something that can withstand far more than he ever imagined. Because, kid, losing streaks don't destroy real traders, they reveal them. They peel back the layers of ego, fear, impatience, and false confidence until all that's left is the truth of who you are beneath the noise. And confronting that truth is the first step toward resilience. I remember one streak in particular, the kind that hits you so hard you stop counting the losses and start counting the mistakes that led to them. I felt myself collapsing inward, second-guessing every setup, hesitating when I should act, acting when I should wait. That's the strange poison of a losing streak. It rewires your instincts. Good ideas feel dangerous, bad ideas feel urgent, and every decision seems to carry the weight of your entire career. But here's the turning point, the moment resilience begins. It isn't when you finally win a trade. It's when you stop treating the streak like a monster and start treating it like a teacher. Once that shift happened inside me, everything softened. The fear loosened its grip. The desperation quieted. I began to see the streak not as evidence of my failure, but as a spotlight on my blind spots. And that's when I took the next step, one of the hardest steps a trader can take. I accepted that progress during a losing streak isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in decisions. So I focused on decisions, not results, not profit and loss, just decisions. One clean trade, one clean exit, one clean stop, then another. And slowly, like climbing a rope out of a well, I felt the weight lift. That's the essence of resilience, small, deliberate steps back toward yourself. But the streak wasn't done teaching me. It pushed me to face a truth I'd avoided for years. I was using trading to solve emotional problems that trading could never fix. Stress, loneliness, pressure, proving something to myself, proving something to others. A losing streak exposes all of that. It forces you to face the parts of your life that are out of balance. And resilience is impossible without balance. So I rebuilt my life outside, trading sleep, movement, relationships, quiet time, and just like that, clarity returned. Not because the market calmed down, but because I did. The biggest turning point in that streak came one afternoon after a particularly rough morning session. I hadn't lost much in dollar terms, but emotionally, I was running on fumes. I stepped away from the desk, stood by the window, and said out loud, "You don't have to win today." That sentence felt like a key turning inside a lock that had been stuck for years. Because that's where losing streaks trap most traders. They convince you that you must fix everything today. That urgency destroys more accounts than volatility ever has. Once I let go of that urgency, my mind unclenched. My breathing slowed. And when I sat back down at the screen, I wasn't trying to win, I was trying to trade well. And that, kid, is when the first truly good trade appeared. Not a winner, a good trade. Executed clean, in control. No hesitation, no panic, no ego. That single good trade was like a heartbeat returning after a long silence. One became two. Two became a rhythm. And before I even realized it, the losing streak was over, not because I forced it to end, but because I'd rebuilt the version of myself capable of ending it. That's the final truth about resilience. You don't overcome a losing streak by fighting the market. You overcome it by rebuilding the trader. And losing streaks will come again, kid. They always do. Even decades in, I still get hit. But now, when they arrive, I don't panic. I don't force. I don't crumble. I've built a foundation that bends but doesn't break. And when the darkness stretches long, I remind myself of the simplest, strongest truth a trader can hold on to. A losing streak isn't the end. It's the invitation to level up,